Boom, boom, boom. Today, we're quickly just talking about pioneers. So, usually people talk about pioneers as being somebody who does something for the first time, someone who clears a path, someone who breaks through for other people, somebody who thinks differently, someone who lives differently, someone who doesn't mind challenging the status quo. Well, let's talk about that. There was a lady in the Bible who had an issue of blood, and she reached out through a whole crowd to grab Jesus, because in her mind she made up that if she touches this man's garment, she's going to get healed. And she got healed. Before that, there was nobody that did that. But then you read in Matthew 14, there's a whole group of people that come to meet Jesus, and for some reason they tell each other, if we just touch his garment, we will get healed. And they actually implore each other. They encourage each other to do that because she had broken through. Pioneer. Another example of a pioneer is Roger Bannister. Everybody knows about this man who broke the 4-minute mile. Before he ran 1 mile, 1.6 kilometers, in under 4 minutes, people actually thought it was physically impossible, that you would have to be insane, clinically insane to run at that speed. But then, boom, this man comes and does it, and then within the next year, there are 8 people that do the same. Pioneers. They clear away, break through, and other people start to run through it too. Edmund Hillary from New Zealand, from where I'm from, he decides to climb Mount Everest, gets to the summit. He's the first man, probably some other people who weren't recorded maybe, but he's the first man recorded to go up there with his Sherpa, and he gets up there, does it. After he's done it, so many people have done it. Now they say there is a trail of rubbish on the way up to Mount Everest with a number of people that have done that. Okay, a pioneer thinks differently, lives differently, acts differently, is constantly pushing boundaries, is not happy with how things are just done, especially when the pioneer sees that more can happen. So for today's little assignment, I want to talk about one of my favorite athletes on the earth. His name is Rich Froning Jr., CrossFit champion. Now this guy, he started CrossFit, I think it was 2009, maybe 2010, but he got to the CrossFit Games in 2010. And the thing about this man is he single-handedly changed how training was done in CrossFit. Before he was doing CrossFit, people would train for an hour or two and maybe train twice a day if they were hardcore. But Rich Froning comes in and he goes with his gut instinct and everything he knows about sports science and about anaerobic and aerobic thresholds and everything he knows about human anatomy and biology, and he uses that and starts doing workouts 4 to 6, sometimes 8 times a day, but just shorter workouts. And so what happened is in 2010, he comes in as a noob. He doesn't have a coach. He trained himself with his own ideas because he's pushing boundaries, because he's a pioneer, and he ends up winning. He's in the last event, just about to win the CrossFit Games on the first year he's competing, but he hadn't learned how to climb a rope. And so he gets to the top of the rope and he's using all his arms. He doesn't know how to use his legs. He burns out and he falls from the top to the bottom. And guess what? He loses his first position and he comes second in those games. But that spiraled him into a challenging season where he started to question who he was, started questioning his identity. Then he realizes that he's the son of God. He doesn't need to get his identity from this, comes back even stronger and ends up winning the CrossFit Games the next year, and then the next year, and then the next year, and then the next year, 4 years in a row. Then he retires from individual competition and then he wins the team game. So he now comes around a team and he wins. And so he's won 10 medals, all gold except for 2 in the last 10 years. So what is it about this guy? And what is it about pioneers? And this is what I want to tell you. Pioneers change the game. So here he comes, trusts his gut instinct, sees that he could get better than most people by doing things the way he should do it. So normal people that know training and know physiology would tell you it's stupid to train more than 1 time a day, maybe twice a day. But here is a guy that starts training 6, maybe 8 times a day. And guess what? Since he started doing it, heaps of professional athletes, professional CrossFitters do that now, and it's normal for them to train all day long. He single-handedly changed the game. Pioneers single-handedly change the game. They do what other people think is sometimes stupid, sometimes not efficient, sometimes people think it's dumb. They take it, make it a reality, and suddenly everybody starts to copy the pioneers. Another thing that pioneers do is that they love chasing the impossible. There is something about chasing the impossible, and so here you see it in him. Not just once does he win, but then he goes and wins the second time and the third time, and then the 4th time. Pioneers love chasing the impossible. Another thing they do is they don't mind failing. And so here you have it in his first games. He trusts his own coaching, his own intuitive, his own way of life. And even though he fails, it was in fact his failing that caused him to have success. And I could go so far as to say that because he failed that first year, the next 9 to 10 years, he completely smashed everything out of the park, because in failing, he learned the most important lesson, which is where his strength comes from. Pioneers love to pass on to others. So Rich Froning kicks butt and now is kicking butt, and he is known for kicking butt, but then he opens his gym in Tennessee, in Cookeville, Tennessee, for other people. And so many people, including the current champions, have gone there and learned from him, spent time with him, seeing what he's doing. Pioneers break through for themselves, but also for others, and then love to impart into other people. True pioneers do this. So why am I talking about pioneers? I'm doing this because you are a pioneer. I'm doing this because God is raising up a generation of pioneers right now. For years, people have talked about what it means to walk with God, what it means to serve God, and it usually looks like ministry, it looks like church, it looks like four walls, it looks like a pulpit, it looks like preaching, it looks like evangelism, it looks like everything somebody else has done. We have turned what would Jesus do? We have turned the fact that we walk like Jesus on the earth into copy what Jesus did. But guess what? You can't walk like Jesus did because you don't live in the era that he lived in. The real question is not what would Jesus do? The question is, what would Jesus walking on the earth today through you, in you, look like? That's the real question, and God has called you to be a pioneer, called you to pioneer something that has never been done before, because that actually is your unique created intent. That was the reason you were even created, is to be a unique manifestation. I believe that you are a pioneer. There is a pioneer in you, and it begins with you owning your unique identity in God, which is an authentic, beautiful, never seen before expression of God on the earth. You are called to be a pioneer. It is time. Stop trying to find other people who have done what you've done, because you're not called to do what others have done. You're called to walk your own road. Let's go, pioneer. It's time.